phela isuyinzima. Hard work I am. Ngivuke ekuseni ngenza uhlelo, kumele ngabenza njalo. I hold myself impumelelo. Sesiseduze nayo. Shilo ini makanana. Shilo ini makanana. Shilo ini makanana. She got the shama jana. Shilo ini makanana. Shilo ini makanana. Shilo ini makanana. She got the shama jana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. She got the shama jana. Shilo ini makanana. Shilo ini makanana. Shilo ini makanana. She got the shama jana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. She got the shama jana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana.
This is SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Yeah. Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM.
Music never sleeps, and neither do we.
phela isuyinzima. Hard work I am. Ngivuke ekuseni ngenza uhlelo, kumele ngabenza njalo. I hold myself impumelelo. Sesiseduze nayo. Shilo ini makanana. Shilo ini makanana. Shilo ini makanana. Shigapesha majarmani. Shilohini makanana. Shilohini makanana. Shilohini makanana. Shigapesha majarmani. Yes, yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Shigapesha majarmani. Shilohini makanana. Shilohini makanana. Shilohini makanana. Shigapesha majarmani. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Shigapesha majarmani. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana. Yes, makanana.
This is SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM.
Music never sleeps, and neither do we.
Yes, makanana. Shigape Shamajarma, Shilohini, Shilohini Makanana, Shilohini Makanana, Shilohini Makanana, Shigape Shamajarma, Ilesh Makanana, Ilesh Makanana, Ilesh Makanana, Ilesh Makanana, Shigape Shamajarma, Ilesh Makanana.
All right, Sisi featuring Zuko Essay here with Ngizofagaza. Beautiful song, beautiful duo coming through from them. Did I see that Arthur is filing some lawsuit against Sisi this morning, I think, around some claims that she had made that he had allegedly attempted to murder her, as well as some other things. I'm not too sure. So yes, I think I saw something to that effect by one of the media houses. We've got a short show today, apparently, because that ad hoc committee of parliament is back. So just by way of a reminder, you know that we kick off the show at 1 o'clock, and that's when they tend to go on a lunch break, including the Madlanga Commission when they commence. And then they come back round about 2 o'clock. So we generally try to squeeze in as much conversation as we can between 1 and 2 before we go back to that live broadcast. Today is no different. We're going to be looking at research that shows how higher education institutions need to evolve to meet new student and employee needs. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to get into that conversation.
The River Islanders believe the
This is SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM.
Music never sleeps, and neither do we.
Manager at Stadio Higher Education, and we're looking into research that shows how higher education institutions need to evolve in order to meet new student and employee needs. As students are approaching higher education and discerning consumers prioritizing career outcomes and technological readiness, and of course, value for money over traditional campus life peaks, this becomes a necessary conversation. We're going to unpack some of the insights from this new research paper. Good afternoon to you, DeAndre. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks yourself, Bridget.
I'm great. Thank you so much for the time. Let's jump into this conversation because I think it's a pertinent one, right? Every educator and stakeholder in education has spoken about this gap or misalignment between higher education institutions and the fast evolving needs, particularly of employers out there. And how do we get students ready for the world outside of campus?
Yes, that's true. It's such a competitive market out there. And for us to understand what actually influences the student's choice is super crucial for the success of any business. First of all, to understand which institution they're looking at. They're then looking at the qualification and ultimately making them choose a career path that they have the skills and the knowledge to do so. So it's becoming a challenge, especially in the competitive market, to stay relevant and to also, react to some of the responses that is out there in the industry. It's becoming, it's changing, it's constantly evolving, and for us to all stay on top of the things, we need to evolve and we need to have a response to stay sustainable as well.
Part of the research that you undertook alongside Dr. Singh looked at what drives students when choosing a university and what employers expect from graduates. Can we unpack some of the findings there?
Yes, of course. So it was very, very interesting. We had a look at various factors and various variables that has an impact on students' choice, and that included personal factors like demographics and cultural influences and the parents' influence, and also things like the financial impact on the family of certain qualifications chosen. And it was very interesting, when we go to schools and it's our market and we're selling the qualifications and we're selling the brand, you kind of have an idea of what the students want until we did the research. And then it was really interesting to see how the market is changing as well, and the type of things that they're looking for changed from what I looked for when I was a student back in the day. So things that they are now looking for is absolutely looking at employability and making sure that the institution that they choose not only considers the curriculum that they can use in the industry, but also to teach them the skills and the knowledge for them to be ready for the workplace and not doubt their skills and knowledge when they actually step into a practical job to do it. So it was important for us to understand the student choice, what motivates them to enroll for a specific qualification, but also what is the expectations from their side in terms of how they recognize value and what will satisfy them. Because at the end of the day, for all higher education institutions, it's all about retention as well. We want to keep the students for as long as possible and make sure that they're all ready for the workplace. So, some of the things that pulled through, it was amazing. We had employability, we had location of the campuses, we had the staff and the value that they will find at the institution, and then looked at characteristics of the institutions as well. And, people always talk about this topic, but the research showed facts, and we can use that now to apply it in our daily job as well, and it helps me to have a conversation with a prospective student as well.
And when we talk around a theme of employability, I can only expect that because this generation of students is so clued up, being raised by millennials, they have no choice because
absolutely
they're so clued up in these kinds of conversations that I would expect for them part and parcel of the attractiveness of a university would be the question around employability, your ability to make me ready for the workplace. And given the stats of how many graduates are out there, literally just looking at the framed certificates without a prospect. So,
yes.
So this is an essential part in how they make their choices as well, making it, I presume, a very urgent component for universities to start tackling.
No, that's true. And, back in the day, we had a very standard, natural flow of things. You know what you want to study. You go to university, you study the qualification, and you go into the industry that you studied. Nowadays, students are looking for an institution that looks at the curriculum that will allow them to step into the world of work in any industry related to, let's say, for instance, a BCom. What type of things can I go and do with my BCom that I studied? Not necessarily the BCom that you have studied, but anything in that field. And there's literally, according to the research that we've done, there's a bit of a mismatch between what the employers are expecting and what the graduates are saying that they're receiving from the tertiary institution. And it's things like collaboration and creativity and problem-solving skills, and teaching them how to manage time and how to think critically and how to be resilient. So skills like that, it's important now for institutions to start building around that, because the responsibility of developing those workplace skills was always that of the employer, but it's now being seen as becoming a role of the higher education institution to prepare the graduates to be ready for the industry. So it's also interesting that it's not only the institutions that needs to start looking at this, but it's also what the students are physically looking at. I mean, I didn't even think of that when I went to go study. And my thinking was just, where can I get the best student life? Where can I study my qualification? And that was it. But nowadays, they're thinking clever with their approach also to which qualification and which institution to target to help them in the long run.
Absolutely. I mean, at best, it was a case of, what does each institution specialize in, not to sort of advertise them. But for instance, what jumps to mind is if you wanted to be a rock star lawyer, you'd go to Wits Law School because it was regarded. But I'm also wondering, in the context of this research and the conversations that are now coming out from students, even if making that a consideration when choosing a campus, to say, for instance, I'll go to Wits because they have the best law school. But would that also be now the second layer to that is they have the best, not just because they have the professors who teach and but they also have the best because they have real-time industry thought leaders who are practicing at that time, coming through to plow skills into the lecture rooms.
That is very, very important, and that was one of the biggest focus points of the specific article that we've done. I think a lot of institutions are very focused still on applying the theory and teaching what the book says, and not always looking at how that can be implemented in the workplace, where other institutions are stepping into that, and that's where it becomes extremely competitive. I think we've also had to look at our design of curriculums and how we can apply that practically, and I think we're doing it quite well. We have practical modules that we've built into the qualification called, for instance, in our teaching qualifications, we have something called teaching practice. In some of our other qualifications, we have work integrated learning, where we really place the students in the industry to become work ready. And what's nice is you do this while you are a student. I mean, that's a massive benefit. If I think of me back in the day, not having practical experience, had to start at the bottom, not thinking about one day, and then stepping into the world of work and not having any experience, that was crucial. And I think institutions are changing the way they think about this as well, where they are employing people that comes out of the industry to teach what's relevant in the classroom. And even if it's a standard theory qualification, still trying to apply that practically in the classroom is becoming quite a bit of a thing that students are looking for. So it really, what can help me to be fully employable when I'm done, and that is what they're looking for wherever they are going.
What are the risks, DeAndre, what are the risks for higher education institutions that don't adapt quickly enough to these new student and employee expectations and needs?
Well, it's not only the demand for higher education that's increasing, but it's also the number of institutions stepping into the industry. So it's becoming extremely competitive, and institutions are starting to offer the same qualifications, but the research being done from the student side to figure out which qualification will benefit me most is allowing institutions now to force institutions actually to think more creative in their marketing strategies. And without this information, they can't do that. So the study that we've done really holds significant strategic value for the higher education institutions because we look at relevance, sustainability, and how to be responsive to what the stakeholders are looking for. And by understanding that, we could inform or change our interventions that we done to target our students and the needs of not only them but also the parents. and just to understand the expectation of what actually is seen as value in the education system. So without all of that, an institution won't be able to change curriculum. They won't be able to necessarily give the industry work-ready graduates. And I mean, that goes into a dark hole on its own if you are not servicing your students the way you should. It's important. It's important to stay up to date with what is needed out there and what is required from your market.
Absolutely. It's not enough to just be a dinosaur of academic excellence. You need to be agile.
Absolutely.
Just in our sort of parting shots as we wind down the conversation, there's still, yesterday, my colleagues, Kathy, Tulas, they were celebrating all the fabulous, all the students with academic excellence, let me put it that way. And we heard of students going to Harvard and all these great institutions, which is so amazing. But there are still students and parents who are in that sort of gray area of still trying to decide what must happen in the child's future, maybe taking a gap year or whatever. What questions would you like to leave them with so that they can just marinate over them in order to make the right decisions as a family for the future of their kids, especially if they're going into academic institutions of higher learning?
I think it's important for every student out there to know that it's okay. It's okay to be stressed. This is when we get to schools and we chat to these learners and you can see how freaked out they are. They're stressed. It's a very big decision to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. But you have to start somewhere, and you can do it in a calm way. There's a lot of institutions and companies out there that's willing to help and assist with questions and things. And for the parents, it's still okay for you trying to figure out what your child wants to do for the rest of their life. I think just the start-off point would be to do a bit of research on the qualification of interest, figure out which institutions or options out there, and go and make a turn on the campuses. I know there's still a lot of institutions taking in students this time of the year, especially waiting for the final approvals of the exams and the results and everything that came out. At Stadio, we are also still open. Our registration season hasn't closed as yet, so come pop in on the campuses, come get some just build a chat with us, get some advice, get some direction with regards to what to do. And I always use this as a closing off at the schools when I go to presentations and stuff as well. I would always recommend to look into a qualification on tertiary level, whatever you qualify for. If you did not get that bachelor's pass, it's not the end of the world. We have a whole bunch of qualifications that we can use to start you off in the same field of study, like a higher certificate. Get your foot in the door, figure out if this is for you. After your year, you might decide that this is not the field I want to be into, but at least you get a qualification behind your name.
Absolutely.
So as far as I can, parents, do not let your children sit at home because of the lack of information or questions that you might have. Reach out to the campuses, come and make a turn by Stadio, and let's see how we can assist and how we can address any questions that you might have to tackle this year altogether.
Awesome. DeAndrea Elias, thank you so much for the time. Activations Manager at Stadio Higher Education. It's gone 1:30. On Delambana is standing by with the headlines.
Thank you, Bridget. On the news headlines, former Acting National Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Khomotso Phahlane has started his testimony by outlining events surrounding his suspension in 2017. Attention has shifted to mounting admissions pressure on university admissions after matrics received their results yesterday. And the Northern Cape Embassy of Education, Abraham Foslu, says 51 million rand has been allocated to schools across the province to deal with operational costs and purchasing stationery. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
Whilst we're on this conversation about your academic future, we're looking beyond the matric results and looking at 10 practical steps or tips to help South Africa's class of 2025 navigate an uncertain future. Dr. Mamoona Williams joins us now, founder and CEO of Empowering Sustainable Change, a specialist at bridging the gap between education, skills development, and entrepreneurship. According to Statistics SA, the numbers are real. 40% of the youth age 15 to 24 are not employed, are not in employment, education or training, and over 100,000 matriculants meeting university requirements couldn't get a space at their tertiary institutions and institutions of higher learning. How are you doing this afternoon, Dr. Mamoona?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for the time. Much appreciated. I mean, this is a follow-on conversation from the one that we've just had. Unpacking research of higher education institutions. And here we are looking at the 10 practical tips to help South Africa's class of 2025 navigate an uncertain future. Because as I was saying to my previous guest, yes, we've spent the better part of this week celebrating all the high achievers in matric, but the reality also is that not everybody is going to get a space at a university or at a university of their choice or an institution of higher learning. And also not everybody is going into this year already with a concrete plan of what their future might look like.
Yeah, and all of that is okay. I think this has been the talk of the town. I can't escape it. And everyone must take a deep breath and start to think about, okay, so it didn't go as maybe I planned, but what are my options? And if I pick up from where your previous speaker left off, yes, it doesn't have to be university. There could be vocational and technical institutes, community colleges as other educational options, but then there are also possibly apprenticeships and learnerships, which the ecosystem builders, the business people, government, they're aware that these things are needed. And my challenge to them would be, how do you bring these things forward to create opportunities now instead of waiting? Of course, they do all the work, they have all the research, they know what's needed, but to the extent that there are things that are not currently in the pipeline that they can bring forward, I encourage them to do that. So that's kind of in terms of mapping their pathway, that would be kind of my first area where I would make a suggestion.
And I like what you say about how do you, create these opportunities, because I think it speaks to also understanding that the landscape of employability or the landscape of work has changed, and rapidly so in recent years. You were quoted as saying, this generation is amongst the best educated on the continent. They're amongst the most digitally connected on the continent. And it's literally about building particular skills that can help them in the future.
Speak, I'm at the first ever convening of something called the Education Collaborative. It's the first convening in South Africa. And over lunch, somebody said from Nigeria that she was so happy that we were coming to South Africa for the first time, because South Africa has the universities and the institutions that rank world class. And there's so much that the rest of the continent can learn from them. So I had kind of put that quote out a couple of days before that, and then here I am at lunch and before this interview, and somebody is confirming that independently. So, that idea of taking a deep breath, it's okay. When you're in your own context, it's hard to see what else there is. But South African students, South African educated students are in such a privileged position. I know it's hard where they might be and how they're feeling and what their circumstances are. We understand all that. But if they could take a step back, take that deep breath, open up and look at what they have in their hands, including that matric certificate that they got yesterday, how can they leverage that to go forward, given what it represents here and also in the region.
Let's talk a little bit about leveraging that. Does that speak to, in part, to perhaps step one of the practical steps, the mapping out your multiple pathways?
It does. It's a building block, right? It's a new world, as you mentioned, and so a high school diploma is not necessarily going to get you that far, especially if you're not differentiated. So how do you take that as something that you have in hand and build on that and start to differentiate yourself? There's so much competition in South Africa and across the region today. So if you have this now, but then you sit still and don't do anything else with it, then you're going to put yourself at a disadvantage compared to other people and compared to the opportunities that are out there. So if you didn't get into into university and you didn't take advantage of the other educational options that I just measured, who are you? What do you care about? What little steps can you take today to start to show that that is who you are? If maybe part of your aim is to get employment in that area, or maybe you think you can start your own business, which is a very important thing for us to do today in Africa, because there continues to be that mismatch between jobs available and the workforce and the skills indeed that employers are looking for. Let's see.
I want us to sorry, pardon me, Dr. Masinga, because we are chasing time because of that ad hoc committee. I know that it's a comprehensive step, 10 steps, but 10 tips, but perhaps we'll just jump to 2 others, because I'm also intrigued at starting a proof of concept project this month.
Yeah, so this speaks to a project that I used to work on at Junior Achievement, which, by the way, has a presence here in South Africa and has amazing programs for people in the community. So that's something else that people can go into. But what I found when I was in that, and what it was nice about that, was that it served underserved populations. When we went into communities, the core question in our program was, what's a problem that you see in your community, and how can you solve it? And just asking that question brought up such amazing solutions from the young people in Soweto, in KwaZulu-Natal, in different places around the country, and each solution unique to the place where the people were. So chips embedded in, herds necks to track, because a problem for those young people in rural areas of KwaZulu-Natal, that they're cattle herders, and when they lose their sheep, that means that they're losing money. That's not a solution or a thing that I would have seen in Johannesburg, but in Soweto, there were young people who were worried about these garbage dumps. Could we convert that to gardens and things like that? So look around you. What do you see, and what do you think you can do about it? You have amazing questions. You have amazing answers to questions around things that are happening around you.
And we're going to have to leave it there for this afternoon. But, the 10 tips that Dr. Maimuna speak of, talk to also valuing your digital skills. And whilst we're talking about starting a proof of concept project this month, the other tip that she gives is build your small steps portfolio. Track every action that you take: applications submitted, courses completed, projects started, people met, and review it monthly, because it does 2 things that she says. It shows you that you're moving forward, and it becomes the story you tell in interviews about your initiative and your adaptability. Amongst the tips, it's also finding an adult who believes in you and asking them to connect you. So this could speak to mentorships, getting yourself an advocate, and such things, joining community programs and becoming a volunteer, and learning a skill that perhaps employees cannot ignore, whether you're good at coding, at data analysis, and there's all kinds of free programs programs that speak to that you could explore. Dr. Memuna Williams, thank you so much for the time, founder and CEO of Empowering Sustainable Change, and doctor there specializes in bridging the gap between education, skills development, and entrepreneurship. It is 22 at 2 o'clock. A quick pause, and then we'll be right back on the other side.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
All right, we are chatting now to Abongile Mashile, who's the head of government affairs and public policy at Google. And Google has partnered with MDDA to empower community media through local language digital skills training. The MDDA, by the way, is the Media Development and Diversity Agency. How are you doing this afternoon, Abongile?
So much for having us, Bridget. Excuse the fluey voice this afternoon.
It's okay. We appreciate the time. Perhaps give us some background about this partnership between the Media Development Diversity Agency and Google, and how do you all come to begin with this conversation?
Well, the partnership was really born out of the need to support independent community-based media houses with their digital transformation efforts. I'm sure you are quite familiar with the challenges that community media faces in the country, from revenue concerns, operational efficiencies. This becomes compounded in the digital era. So the whole point and the whole purpose of this partnership is to make it easier. It's focusing on how can community media leverage digital tools, digital platforms to improve efficiencies within their operations, as well as generate additional revenue by utilizing digital platforms, such as the ones that we have at Google, such as YouTube and Google Search. So really the training is about how do we empower small businesses, because you could find that some of the challenges that they've been grappling with since the formation of the community media sector in South Africa, we can accelerate that transformation and change by equipping them with the resources that we have in the Google News Initiative. Now, the difference with this, the Google News Initiative has been there for a number of years. It's been available virtually online, but you understand that in South Africa, there are barriers that are there that we have overcome through this training. Barriers such as language, as well as barriers such as access, because if you don't have access to the internet, highly likely that you will not have access to the GNI training that is available online. So the training program, we've translated Google News Initiative, the content that we have on our training portals, into 5 South African languages, which includes isiXhosa, isiZulu, Afrikaans, Sesotho, and Sepedi, as well as English, so that we can reach more audiences.
Yeah.
Above that, we are also doing these in person. So we'll be traveling across the country where we will be having deep dives with the sector. Thank you.
You've covered basically our entire conversation, which
Right.
is good. No, it's great because we are chasing time unexpectedly today as we have to jump back into the ad hoc committee. So just a quick one, to expand on that, Abongile, by way of the program, and of course you talk about it ticking particular boxes, for these independent community media houses to be able to leverage the opportunity to be able to build and maximize on revenue and for the purpose of empowerment. Just by way of the curricula, perhaps, of what will be covered for anyone that's listening as in this space and is potentially a candidate to be a part and parcel of the conversation.
It's a variety of curricula. So in our GNI toolbox, it really focuses on enabling newsrooms to utilize AI tools, enabling newsrooms to also look at things like misinformation and disinformation, enabling newsrooms to be able to see how they can safeguard around things like that, enabling newsrooms to utilize digital platforms. So if you look at publishers, for instance, a lot of the publishers that you would have in your community media, where I grew up in Langa, we had Vukuzenzele, which was a print edition that would be delivered to your house every week or every month. It's about how do you transition. So the curriculum will also look at how do you transition that print media edition to a digital platform, and how do you then start monetizing as a digital platform, and also utilizing tools that we would have as Google. So we have a number of tools that are in AI-enabled or AI capacities, such as your Notebook LM, which is a large language model platform or portal that we have that enables you to summarize huge volumes of content in a short space of time. And as a one-man newsroom, that can make a huge difference in turnaround times for you as a newsroom. Yeah. So it's a variety of issues. The curriculum is quite expansive, but it does have a digital focus.
Wonderful stuff. I mean, it sounds like an interesting toolkit for any independent community media houses to jumpstart their 2026. We appreciate the time with you. I know it was short and rushed this afternoon, but we promise to endeavor to allow you more time on your next initiative. That was Abongile Mashile joining us, Head of Government Affairs and Public Policy at Google. It's gone 1:45. In fact, it's closer to 10:02. We're going to take a quick ad break, and then we're coming back on the other side of this, I'm presuming with our children's programming, since we are chasing that 2:00 return of the ad hoc committee.
I don't love school. I don't love trying to learn like everyone else learns and falling behind when I don't understand. But I do love learning. I do love working to my own schedule and getting the support when I need extra help. I do love UCT Online High School because I do love my future. Apply online before the 19th of January.
Three-time champions, the Super Eagles, mean business while searching for their fourth title. But the Atlas Lions are confident red and green will dominate green and white. This is the Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025. Witness the semi-final meeting between Nigeria and Morocco this Wednesday, 14 January at 9:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus, SABC 2 and SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Then on SABC radio stations at 10 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2025. It's game on everywhere.
For the love of the game.
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hello friends and happy Wednesday. Let's talk about the wonderful world of reading and stories. Do you like reading storybooks, or is there a story you've enjoyed before? What was it about? If you could choose any kind of a book to read, what would it be about? Animals, adventure, magic, or superheroes? How do you feel when someone reads a story to you, or when you read all by yourself? Did you know that reading helps your imagination grow? What do you imagine when you hear or read a story? And when do you think it's the best time to read every day? Before bed, after school, or during quiet time? All right, friends, let's hear from some of our friends while you share your answers with the people next to you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Zamangozo Mayana. Today I'm going to be talking about reading and imagination. I enjoy reading storybooks, especially stories about adventure and action. If I could choose any book to read, I would choose a book about superheroes and exciting adventures. When someone reads a story to me, I feel relaxed and happy. When I read by myself, I feel confident. Reading helps my imagination grow because I can imagine scenes, characters, and the places in my mind. I think a good time to read every day is after school or before going to bed. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something new about reading and imagination. Until next time, bye.
Hi everyone, my name is Lorraine. Thank you so much for listening to the Kids Radio Show. Yes, there is a book that I really love reading. The book was just talking about initiation in high school and about the tough difficulties you face when you first start the year high school. If I could choose one book to read or one book which I would make, it would most probably be about adventure. How I feel when someone reads a story to me is that it actually feels nice because someone is reading the story to me and I'm able to put my imagination to the test for some reason. Yes, I did know that reading helps imagination grow. What I imagine when I read a story, it depends on the book. For example, my favorite book is Olivia Grows Up by Heather N.
This is SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM.
Music never sleeps, and neither do we.
phelisu inzima hard work I am ngivuke ekuseni ngenza uhlelo melela benza njalo I hold myself impumelelo sesiseduze nayo shilo ini makanana shilo ini makanana shilo ini makanana shigepisha majarma shilo ini makanana shilo ini makanana shilo ini makanana shigepisha majarma yes makanana yes makanana yes makanana yes makanana shigepisha majarma shilo ini makanana shilo ini makanana shilo ini makanana shigepisha majarma yes makanana yes makanana yes makanana yes makanana shigepisha majarma yes makanana yes makanana yes makanana yes makanana.
This is SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. This is SAFM.
Just tell me about how this concert series fits in with what you are trying to do with these young people.
The reality is that private funders do not just thoughtlessly throw their resources around.
It is one thing to get a backtrack like that for a finance guy, hey?
Somebody just WhatsApped me to say that she has a daughter who has hearing loss.
Corruption in South Africa has reached disgraceful levels.
First things first, let's get to my daily that's my point feature. So, did you see Cristiano Ronaldo cry yesterday?
This is SAFM.
Music never sleeps, and neither do we.
On the top stories, concerns over delays in learner placements, and Patlane appears before the ad hoc committee for SFM News. I'm on Delambana, and a very good day. The Human Rights Commission has raised concern over ongoing delays in learner placements, particularly in Gauteng. This comes as about 4,000 learners remain unplaced despite the start of the 2026 academic year. The Commission says it will engage the Gauteng Department of Education and may intervene through mediation or legal action if necessary. SAHRC spokesperson Wisani Baloyi has urged the public and civil society groups to share information to help assess the scale of the problem and support efforts to place all learners.
The Commission calls on members of the public and civil society organizations to submit information that will help understand the true extent of the problem and support efforts to ensure that all learners are placed in schools.
Meanwhile, Northern Cape Education MEC Abraham Vosloo says 51 million rand has been allocated to schools across the province to deal with operational costs and the purchasing of stationery. This is to avoid challenges faced by some schools last year that saw water and lights being switched off due to unpaid municipal bills. MEC Vosloo has visited Homevale and Emmanuel High Schools to mark the start of the academic year.
We are not expecting any particular challenges. In November, early December 2025. We have allocated schools already the 51 million rand for stationery across the province where the need was. The additional outstanding norms and standards were actually issued since last week to schools. So we are not expecting any particular problems. At that point, we were not able to buy textbooks for top-ups. And we must remember that schools do have textbooks, but some schools do experience challenges around the retrieval process. So in that regard, we're not expecting any problems.
Attention has shifted to mounting admissions pressure on universities after matrics received their results yesterday. The University of Johannesburg has received more than 450,000 applications for the 2026 academic year, but can only accommodate about 11,000 first-year students. Registrar Professor Bettine van Vuren says several support channels are available to assist applicants, but walk-ins will not be allowed.
We've got more than 70 call centre applicants which are responding to calls. We also have on our website, our uj.ac.za website, we've got a chatbot there which is fully trained to answer questions. We've also got a WhatsApp number. We are not allowing any walk-ins. I have to be very clear about that. We're not allowing any walk-ins.
Former Acting National Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Khumutso Phahlane has started his testimony by outlining events surrounding his suspension in 2017. Phahlane is appearing before Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is probing allegations of criminal infiltration, corruption and political interference in the criminal justice system. He served as Acting National Police Commissioner from October 2015 until his suspension in June 2017. He was then dismissed from the SAPS in August 2020 over a controversial 2014 contract for panoramic cameras while heading forensic services, which he is now challenging in court. Phahlane says it was unusual for his suspension to be announced by then Police Minister Fikile Mbalula instead of former President Jacob Zuma, who had appointed him to act.
On that day, I get a call from the office of the minister, and I was asked to travel to Cape Town for a meeting with the minister. We had our less than 5 minutes meeting. And then the minister simply asked, General, in view of all this negativity in the media, is it not better that you maybe step aside? I agreed because I'm not glued to any position. I was not removed by the President of the Republic of South Africa as the Constitution and the Police Act dictates. I was made to step aside by the Minister of Police then.
Thai police say at least 22 people have been killed after construction crane collapsed onto a moving train northeast of the capital, Bangkok. Authorities say around 80 others were injured. Initial reports suggest the crane was being used to construct a high-speed railway bridge. The BBC's Jonathan Head has more details.
The train was travelling at speed from Bangkok to the northeastern city of Ubon Ratchathani when part of a crane being used to build a new overhead railway fell onto it. The train derailed and some of the carriages were crushed, with one catching fire. Several hours after the accident, rescuers were still working to extract trapped passengers. The new railway is part of a project backed by China to link the Thai capital with neighbouring Laos. The Minister of Transport has ordered an investigation into the incident, which comes after a series of other fatal accidents blamed on safety lapses.
Recapping the top story, the Human Rights Commission has raised concern over ongoing delays in learner placements, particularly in Gauteng. This comes as about 4,000 learners remain unplaced despite the start of the 2026 academic year. I'm on Dilambana for SFM News, headlines at 2:30.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
The Reds chase victory to rise higher in the top half.
It's a lovely ball, goal! So simple. Hugo Ekitike is into double figures for Liverpool, left completely unmarked.
Meanwhile, the Clarets are highly motivated to dish out orders at Anfield.
Nice ball, Ikachukwu, it's a leveller, barely a level. Leslie Ikachukwu with a really calm finish.
This is the Premier League. Witness Liverpool FC versus Burnley FC on Saturday, 17 January at 4:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC 3. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
For 90 years, my voice has informed, challenged, and connected a nation. SAFM, South Africa's national English public radio station. Established in 1936 as the SABC's very first service, the A program evolving through the English service, Radio South Africa, to SAFM in 1995, shaping thought and strengthening democracy. From a full-spectrum station to a trusted home of news and talk, SAFM continues to lead the conversations 90 years strong. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
30-year-old Dineo knows all about saving on her car insurance with Outsurance.
I'm saving 1,094 rands.
That's an unbelievable 1,094 rand monthly saving on Dineo's 2025 Kia Sonet. And she'll get an out bonus.
If I'm claim-free for 3 years, then I get an out bonus back.
Ready to see how much money Outsurance could save you? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
With increased holiday traffic across South Africa and through our regional borders, road safety is more important than ever. Let us all be custodians of safe road behavior. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and jaywalk. Don't drink and text. Every time you look at your phone while driving, you lose about 5 seconds of concentration, enough to cause a crash with devastating consequences. Stay alert. Stay responsible. Brought to you by the Department of Transport, moving South Africa forward.
Extra your work hustle with free gifts from Vodacom, like the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 256 gig from just 1,699 per month over 36 months on a 6 gig red core plan. Comes with a free Samsung Galaxy Tab A11 LTE worth 3,999. Plus, get 5 gigs YouTube data and 2 months free YouTube Premium. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
You can become a victim of a legal problem, wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Aware, what's up? It's Jesse Suntele and the new era starts on SABC2 with drama, excitement, you in the front seat and me on the screen.
What if your child could achieve better academic results in 2026? At Teneo School, they can. Our smart school system tracks every learner in real time and helps teachers spot gaps early. The results? With over 3,500 successful Teneo School matriculants, learners improve their average marks by 12% in the first year. Access affordable private schooling, no restrictive entry, fees starting from 3,000 Rand per month. Enroll now for 2026 at teneoschool.co.za. That's TENEO school.co.za.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Yo, we are live. I'm Jones Tumahole. Join us on the Next Level telenovela on a new era of SABC2.
Every day, Rand Water's underground pipelines run through servitudes across the country, carrying millions of liters of water to our communities. But when people build too close, it's called encroachment, and it's very dangerous. If a pipeline bursts, it can flood homes, destroy property, and in many cases, people lose their lives. That's why Rand Water marks its servitudes with blue and white beacons, a clear warning to stay clear and safe. When we protect Rand Water's servitudes, we protect our communities too. Rand Water, finding new ways.
Bridget Masinga, weekdays on The Full Circle.
All right, they've been back for like a minute or two at the ad hoc committee, and we're going to cross to them quickly, where former acting police commissioner Phahlane is facing Parliament's committee. And it's the first witness to face the ad hoc committee in the new year to give evidence. You know, it was formed to investigate police corruption over decisions that were taken during his tenure, as well as the tenures of others. And so, let's get back into unpacking, hearing the testimony, and finding out exactly where we stand in 2026 with all things ad hoc committee.
Mr. Law, whatever. My question is, what do I have to do with payment that was settled by General Sithole in 2018, 2019, when I'm long out of office, despite the fact that everyone consistently in forensic services was opposing and say, we can't pay. No one of forensic services was involved in the litigation, deliberately excluded. And when they pay, after they paid, that's when they come running to me and say, you cost the state 24 million rands loss.
General Phahlane, I don't disagree with your narrative. That's why I asked you if we can agree that whether it's the 92 million or whether it's the 24 million award of Judge Harms, it's about the same contract. Yeah, can we agree that?
Well, if you want me to say it for the sake of saying it, I agree, we can move.
Okay. A reluctant yes,
It's not reluctant. I've
already
expressed myself,
simple.
Chair. I agree,
and
I have explained the context, because the context was wrong.
And the reasons why the arbitrator found your dismissal procedurally and substantively fair are reasons which are not part of the award of Judge Harms of the 24 million. They are completely separate. That is, the 24 million is after there'd been demands made by the successful bidder. It was made clear to them that SAPS made it clear to them we're not going to honor this contract, so they repudiated the contract. And at the end of the day, Atembu sued and said, look, these are the damages that we suffered. We also know from the award that at the arbitration, SAPS were not even represented there at the arbitration. They didn't have any witnesses there, and their counsel complained that they didn't have an instruction. And LTC Harms then said, in that case, I'm making the award. Now, that is separate from the 92 million. But we're talking about the same contract. Okay? And I accept that that settlement agreement was signed by National Commissioner Sithole at the time and had nothing to do with you. Okay?
So, as far as your dismissal and the reasons for your dismissal are concerned, you've taken that as far as you can so far, and there's a judgment outstanding. The 92 million contract, or at the time the full contract that was before the arbitrator, that related to your, let's call it, alleged conduct or misconduct in the process of that tender. It didn't, and to put it again also on the record, at that time it didn't involve any dishonesty on your part. The arbitrator found that your conduct was reckless. That is what the arbitrator found. Okay. So can we move on from there? But the contract itself, it does feature later on in this whole narrative for other reasons. We can deal with them.
Am I allowed to
Of
talk?
course.
Paragraph 41. Even the acting judge at the Labour Court found no element of dishonesty that Lieutenant General Reid attributed to me, and the learned judge ought to have found that the Commissioner completely ignored or failed to deal with material information placed before her. That's on page 17, paragraph 41. The learned judge also found that my dismissal was procedurally and substantively fair on charge 1, only one charge. With the leave of the Labour Appeal Court, my application for leave to appeal was granted and the appeal was heard on 16 September 2025. To date, we wait for the judgment of the LAC. I'm also awaiting the outcome of an investigation conducted by the Public Protector of South Africa on the complaint I lodged in relation hereto, registered with since 2022. 4 years later, I'm still waiting. So I really have run out of the appetite of dealing with that matter because it's very well covered in my affidavit. And there is no distinction between the Haramsek award and the contract that was awarded in July 2014 by Supply Chain Management. The payment emanates, which follows Haramsek's judgment, is on the same 92 million contract, which for record purposes, once again, I had spent no cent on that particular contract.
I accept that in relation to that 92 million rand contract, your view was that the successful bidder should not have been awarded the contract because the product was defective. That's what you said.
Chair, I want to disagree with your view because that is the narrative that has been peddled outside. Your view, it is said, I did not agree with that contract because it was not awarded to FDA. So if you say my view, I disagree. The view of forensic services led by me is that that contract was not compliant and the record speaks for themselves.
Again, General Paslani, let me not be quoted because I'm referring only to judgments that had been handed down. And in your application for leave to appeal, that judgment is also in the bundle. It's in our bundle. It's not in the bundle. In the exhibit bundle. When you applied for leave to appeal, and what page is it? Number 6. It's item number 6. But can I refer you to paragraph 26? It's on page 11 of the judgment. You see that? The applicant's conduct did not need to amount to serious insubordination, for it constituted serious misconduct. Regulation 9 sets out serious acts of misconduct to include serious insubordination or similar misconduct. Having considered the evidence, I'm satisfied that the applicant's conduct amounted to similar misconduct and that it constituted serious misconduct. And then later on at paragraph 33, and this is in relation to the 24 million, the LTC Arms award. Although the applicant was not involved in the settlement process, he set in motion the sequence of events that led to the first respondent, breaching the contract with EFG, that's the successful body bidder, and ultimately resulted in EFG having a claim for breach of contract against the first respondent. This ultimately resulted in the first respondent paying EFG an amount of 24,494,000. Again, that's what I'm reading to you. That's what a judge found.
Judge who?
Sorry?
Judge?
Judge Davey. Acting Judge
right.
Davey.
Chair, ordinarily, I will not want to dignify what that judge wrote there out of respect for the judiciary. Because if this was to be correct, it is me who on the 22nd of October 2014 saying to supply chain management in response that you have awarded a contract to a bidder whose product doesn't meet the specifications. It is me on the 4th of November that I write again to supply chain management after I called the two. Maybe you will tell me when you are to listen to me. Chair, I'm responding to questions. I suspect that I'm to be listened to by the person who asked questions. It's me who in November 2014 that I respond to supply chain management after I called the service providers, that is Atemba and FDA, to come and demonstrate the capability of their cameras. I'm not alone. I'm with management of forensic services. That presentation satisfied me that the response I got from the experts, which said the camera doesn't meet the specifications, then gets demonstrated to me on the 28th of October 2014 by the same service provider, Atemba. And I saw it with my naked eye, the stitching and the non-compliance which is happening. On the 10th of March 2015, I write to supply chain management a comprehensive letter which is say, please subject this product to an independent assessment. On the 29th of April 2016, the Divisional Commissioner acting writes to supply chain management and say, this product doesn't meet the specifications, therefore we can't buy. We even make an offer in that letter to say, subject this thing to an independent assessment and we will pay. 29th of September 2016, National Treasury responds and say to supply chain management subject this thing to an independent assessment with CSIR and what is it, South African Bureau of Standards. 23 November 2016, in my capacity as an acting national commissioner, I approve and say, subject this thing to an independent assessment. It's not me who wrote, it's supply chain management after they receive the National Treasury letter. And then I later leave. Was it only going to be satisfactory if we have ordered? So this judge who's writing here, must I respond? Was it going to be acceptable for us to have spent 92 million on a non-compliant contract? I will be dancing a different tune today. It will not only have been this concocted disciplinary, I'll be parading before the courts to say, corruption, corruption. If I said to my people, buy, they are telling me, they are experts. I'm not an expert. They are saying, we are not going to be able to use this thing. Now, consistently, you are being told, buy, buy, buy. Just now, there is a discussion on the 360. I don't know why is it also 360. 360 million of what is it? Medicare 24, the Mr. Kat Matlala's contract. Why is that contract cancelled so shortly after the allegations that it doesn't meet the specifications? Why is this 92 million rands not cancelled, despite us, the experts, saying that camera we are not going to be able to use? Is it not supposed to follow the same process? There is clause number 2.7 of the General Conditions of Contract Management, which tells you what process must be followed once there is an issue. So, Chair, I see, I can't help you. I'm not going to dignify this judge's comments with a response. That's why they are before the Labour Appeals Court. Let's wait for the Labour Appeals Court to pronounce. I'm not going to spend my energy on that person.
Can we please take Honorable James? There is a microphone there. The microphone behind you is on. If you can please help to switch it off. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Apologies. Thank you so much, Chair. I wanted to ask this question almost 5 minutes ago already. General Patlani, you make mention that you wrote to supply chain management, you wrote to National Treasury. Now, like we've said previously to the witnesses that appeared before this committee, here when we say we wrote to, we want names. So we really need you to mention the names of the people that you wrote to that ignored those letters. Thank you.
Honorable Nomvalo.
Yeah, no, thanks, Chair. It's a follow-up question. I just want to establish if I have the correct understanding of what the General has said. Do I understand you, General, to be saying, when you said they must subject the product to an independent assessor, do I understand you to be saying you wanted them to make an assessment of whether the product does meet the specification or not? Do I understand you correctly?
That is correct, Honorable Chair. I did not want, because remember, one, this complaint is informed by a complaint that is lodged by a competing service provider, being FDA. Now they complain about a product of a timber. I take that complaint, which did not come to me, it went to supply chain management, the right place where it's supposed to be. They now send it to me. What I did is to put together my experts. Remember, those specifications that they used to publish the bid were developed by the end user, the experts, because they know what is it that they want. So I now bring them together and say, there is a complaint, can you please assess and come back to me? They then respond to me with an information note to say, indeed, we have found that this contract or this bid, this camera, which is now on offer, it will not meet this it doesn't meet these specifications. Based on that, I write to the Divisional Commissioner, Supply Chain Management. It's my letter dated, I think, the 22nd of October, which is here on file. Now, once that happened, there were meetings, including me and the Divisional Commissioner, Supply Chain Management, to raise this issue. But surprisingly, I was getting letters from the same Supply Chain Management saying, place orders, place orders, place orders. And my question is, why do I get this? So ultimately, 29 April.
I'm sorry, Chair. So ultimately, the independent assessment was made.
No, to date it's not made because
not made.
National Treasury, like I mentioned, was the last authority to respond to supply chain management and say, subject those cameras to an independent assessment. Now, the same supply chain management and legal services write to me. Now, then I'm the acting national commissioner to say, can we subject it to an independent assessment? Of course, I said, yes, let's proceed. To date, that independent assessment is not done. So it was to determine, someone independent must tell whether what we are saying as forensic services, whether what the suppliers are saying is correct. But to date, it's not done.
I'm satisfied, Chair. Thank you.
Honorable James, are you satisfied?
No, we still don't have the names. Thank you.
Chair, I'm using a document which is full of pages. Can I just look? But I know that my letters were all directed to the Divisional Commissioner Supply Chain Management. At the time, the Divisional Commissioner Supply Chain Management was General Kruse. I think
what we should do when we break at 5, you can look for those names and make them available.
Yeah, but it's easy, Chair.
Unless if it's very easy for you to find them now.
Yeah, if you look at annexure JKP4, now JKP4, it's the information note that I have approved. Sorry, what is 201? Page 201. Oh, okay. Yeah, and then I'm just going to give the numbers, then we can find the pages. There is an extra JKP 5. We will see its correspondence by a Brigadier Kruker. And you'll see at the bottom of that, he's writing, say, I refer to the telephonic discussion this morning. Kindly find attached the approved information note from the National Commissioner's Office for your attention. The instruction is that you proceed with facilitating the appointment of independent expert assessors. This process will take place while we defend the summons. That is JKP and then JKP 5. And then, now I was referring earlier to a site visit, the BEC. After they've done their own evaluation on site, that is on JKP 6, and you'll see page 2 thereof. It talks about what the non-compliances were of this particular camera, especially in respect of a timber. And the next one is on, and then JKP 9. On JKP 9 is my first letter, the one that Honorable James I'm referring to, that I wrote to Supply Chain Management. It's on JKP 9. And then you also look at that in relation to JKP 10. That JKP 10 is a response from within supply chain management. The chairperson of the BAEC, who's now saying they have made unfortunately, they say they did not have technical experts on the bid adjudication committee. That's why, that will explain why at the end of the day it was approved. And then my last letter as the Divisional Commissioner, Forensic Services, there it is, JKP 11, I wrote on the 10th of March 2015, and you'll see my last sentence there. Based on the above explanation, the Division Forensic Services does not support the decision made by the Bid Adjudication Committee to award the contract to Etemba. It's 249, this same, yeah. On page 249, I'm told. 249, yes. I hope I've answered a few of those questions in terms of the correspondence that was there. I think in JKP 15, and this is now in relation to the Aranse Award, not Aranse, Haramse Award. There is on JKP 15, 259, okay? The acting divisional commissioner of forensic services, I'm long gone, because this was 2018-0702, General Magadlela. Right here, it remains a challenge for me to clarify if equipment that does not meet specifications proceed to enjoy approval from the bid. So he's simply agreeing. I mean, this is in 2018. I'm long gone, but he agrees. And then the National Commissioner on the 2018-0704 approves the same thing. While he's been told, you can't approve this because the thing is not compliant. But there it is, it's approved. But then it becomes my problem. I don't know how. I hope I answered the question, Chair, in respect of some of the correspondence. Those that I did not find, I'll find them during a little bit later and share.
I'm covered. Thank you so much, Chief.
Advocate Aranse, we can proceed.
Well, Pashlani, I'm afraid you're misleading this committee. Let me demonstrate this to you because you're making an issue of it. I thought we'd move on. Can you look at, firstly, when you indicated that you wanted or you were in support of the appointment of independent expert assessors, that was only in November 2016. And in November 2016, you were now the acting National Commissioner. Is that right?
Chair, I'm allowed to take offense.
Can I go
what
with
I'm trying
you?
to demonstrate? That is my first correspondence as the acting National Commissioner. My only correspondence. I've just shown you, Council, 10th of March 2015. That is the last letter that I've written as the Divisional Commissioner of Forensic Services. And I have shown you the letter dated 22nd of October 2014.
If, with reference to annexure, your annexure JKP 4, which is at 201. Let's start there.
Chair, I'm also human. I suspect I'm allowed to take offense. I can't be told that I'm misleading when I am tendering here factual information. and I'm going back.
Allow me to complete what I want to put to you. I don't make a statement like that lightly. As counsel, as an advocate, subject to the rules of ethics, I can't make a statement like that. You're correct, that you must lead without reference to the facts. And that's not what I intend to do. Because you've given your narrative and I'm saying it's misleading and it distorts the facts.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Are you listening?
I'm listening, sir.
Now, the losing bidder, FDA, lodged the complaint on the 22nd of August 2014.
Correct.
About Itemba's conduct.
Correct.
You, and at that time, of course, you were still the head of forensics.
Not the head, the divisional commissioner for forensic services.
Well, divisional commission, the divisional head of forensics. And you, when they lodged a complaint, you signed it on the 22nd of October 2014.
Sorry, just I signed?
This complaint. Yeah. Your own complaint was signed on the 22nd of October 2014. SCM wrote a letter on the 4th of November 2014 to the Bid Evaluation Committee to reconvene to obtain clarity from the nominated expert on the BEC panel on the product of Itemba. The BEC then reconvened and provided a report confirming that both bidders, Itemba and FDA, complied and they submitted their report. So this is all in 2014. On the 10th of March 2015, Forensics wrote a further letter in relation to the issues of the Itemba product. And on the 31st of March 2015, the concerns were addressed to Itemba in a letter. And on the 7th of May 2015, Itemba responded to the concerns raised by Forensics. On the 13th of May 2015, Itemba's letter was forwarded to Forensics for comment and information. On the 4th of June 2015, you now as head of Forensics noted that the matter is urgent, but however undertook to provide a detailed response and to quote you at paragraph 2.29 of your response of 4th of June 2015, and that is in the information note JKP 14, you provide a detailed response, quote, at an opportune moment. So that's on the 4th of June 2015. On the 27th of July 2015, a reminder was sent to you awaiting your response. No response. On the 2nd of October 2015, a further reminder was sent to you to respond to Itemba. No response. That's the whole of 2015. On the 10th of February 2016, Itemba sent a letter, a follow-up letter, detailing the products offered, the benefits of the product offered by them, and requested that an official order be placed. Because the tender award had been made. They were entitled to receive orders in accordance with the award and the contract that was signed. On the 29th of March, Itemba, not having received any orders, issued a letter of demand. On the 25th of April 2016, Itemba requested a meeting with the Forensics Division. Only on the 29th of April 2016 did you, through forensics, reiterate the viewpoint about the Itemba product that it was defective. Itemba then says, look, you are repudiating, your conduct is repudiatory, and we are now cancelling the contract. On the 14th of July 2016, Itemba accepted the repudiation and cancelled the agreement. Yeah. And that narrative is the same narrative that is recorded by the arbitrator in her award. And the reason why the arbitrator found against you is that in the context of this matter, and given the delays and the non-responsiveness on your part, she found your conduct to be reckless. Now, this morning already, I said to you, the arbitrator didn't find that you were dishonest, but you were reckless in your conduct. Can we agree on that? Not agree that it was, you don't have to agree with me that it was reckless, but to agree with me that is what the arbitrator found. So, if you also look at page 213 of this JKP4, sorry, it relates to clause 7 of the general conditions of contract, which places an obligation on the parties to make an attempt to resolve issues amicably by mutual consultation.
What page did you say?
Page 213.
213.
These provisions, I put it to you, had been blatantly disregarded. There were attempts, the bid evaluation committee and the nominated experts and supply chain management and Itemba had made attempts to engage and to put their concerns to forensics, but these attempts were either disregarded or ignored. And that's the basis of the arbitration award, which still remains undisturbed.
It remains?
And when you say...
No. There is a word you used. It remains?
Undisturbed.
Undisturbed?
Yes, it hasn't been set aside yet. That's what I mean.
All right, fine.
Yeah. So, I put it to you that this reference to I think it's JPK 5, the one on page 219 of 28 November 2016, is a complete afterthought. It was belatedly sent after the contract had already been cancelled.
Which one? Which letter are you referring to? JKP?
JKP 5.
Okay. A complete afterthought.
Yes, this is the one where it's from Lawrence Kruger, Brigadier, dated 28 November 2016. It's to Mokoena, Lieutenant General, the subject matter, appointment of expert assessors, Itemba Group. Dear Lieutenant General Mokoena, please see the trailing email by Major General Mnisi, Legal and Policy, as well as the attached information note signed by the Acting National Commissioner, that's yourself, to approach an independent third party for an expert assessment as to whether the product offered by Itemba Forensic Group complies with the specification. General's respectful approval is requested to proceed with the referral of this matter to the Office of Major General Pillay to activate the procurement process for the appointment of an independent expert as mandated by the Acting National Commissioner. So that is the narrative in its proper context. And it's in that context that the arbitrator found against you.
Am I allowed to respond?
Of course.
Okay.
If I may just round this off. You also know that you were present initially when Itemba's expert, I think a Professor Weiss, W-E-I-S-S, he came here from Germany because he's the what do you call it, the founder of this camera, of the camera device. Yeah. He came, and you were in that meeting with all the senior management, and he made a presentation where he in fact said that this camera is not defective and that it does comply with the specifications, and he then undertook to ensure that maintenance on this camera is done on a regular basis as required by the contract.
Am I allowed to respond?
Now the reference to Weiss's evidence is made also in the arbitration award. And this is in JKP 10 at the bottom of page 247. The Bid Evaluation Committee, Brigadier Magagula, chairperson of the Bid Evaluation Committee, on the 20th of November 2014, they recommended that the issues raised by forensic data analysts in their complaint were not found to be part of the bid specification, can therefore not be considered for the cancellation of the contract. However, an agreement was reached that the matter should be referred to legal services for advice and proper guidance. It's at page 247. Annexure JKB10 is 246, and it's an information note, that's addressed to the Divisional Commissioner at the time of Supply Chain Management, Lieutenant General Cruiser.
Am I allowed to respond now?
Yes, of course.
Okay, I'm asking.
You don't need my permission. I have put to you what I wanted to put to you, and you can now respond.
I will never say to an older person you are misleading because of how I'm brought up. Worse, I can't say it to counsel. But I seriously take offense when such is attributed to me. And I'm presenting here factual information. Page 213 that councillors referred to, 2.27.1. If any dispute or difference of any kind whatsoever arises between the purchaser and the supplier in connection with or arising out of the contract, the parties shall make every effort to resolve amicably such dispute or difference by mutual consultation. For everyone's information, I am not a party to the contract. I did not sign any contract with anyone. The contract is between supply chain management on behalf of the South African Police Service and Atemba. 27.2, if after 30 days the parties have failed to resolve their dispute or difference by such mutual consultation, then either the purchaser or the supplier may give notice to the other party of his intention to commence with mediation. No mediation in respect of this matter may be commenced unless such notice is given to the other party. Anyone who have seen a notice in compliance with provision 27.2 of the general contract must tender it with me. Should it not be possible to settle a dispute by means of mediation, it may be settled in the South African Court of Law. Mediation proceedings shall be conducted in accordance with the rules of procedure specified in the SCC. That is on page 213. I just want to check what the annexure is this. Is JKP? No, is it not JKP 3? On top there, that information note starts on page 191, and that's JKP 3. It's JKP 3. And then, this is the same information note that I approve on the 23rd of November 2016. What was I approving? Paragraph 3, because this is submitted to me by supply chain management. So it's a paragraph 5.3. 5.3 reads, in view of Atemba, it's on 215, in view of Atemba's statement that they will proceed to serve sermons and claim damages suffered as a result of the service breach of the contract.
On the top story, Steenhuisen calls for foot and mouth disease to be declared a national disaster, and Human Rights Commission concerned learner placement delays. For SFM News, I'm Onde Lambana, and a very good afternoon. Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen says his department will approach national government to declare the foot and mouth disease outbreak a national state of disaster. It's a highly contagious viral disease that affects cloven-hoofed animals such as cattle, sheep and pigs. Speaking to the media in Parliament earlier today, Steenhuisen also announced that the department would be embarking on a mass vaccination program starting with the provinces worst affected.
A cabinet memo is being prepared for the first cabinet meetings of this year, where we'll be approaching national government to declare FMD a state of disaster. And what we hope that will do will allow us then to be able to, through the NAC joints system, get greater cooperation from the SAPS, municipal traffic departments, provincial traffic departments, and perhaps even the SANDF to assist us with ensuring that movement controls are dealt with. And we need the relevant authorities to assist us with manning roadblocks and ensuring that the undocumented movement of animals has to come to an end.
City of Cape Town law enforcement says the two LEAP officers have been arrested after they allegedly demanded a 3,000 rand bribe from an alleged drunk driver. The duo were arrested in Parow last night. The city's law enforcement spokesperson, Wayne Dyson, says the incident occurred on the 5th of January. He says the motorist could not provide a driver's license.
The officers apparently demanded a 3,000 rand bribe, and when the motorist couldn't pay, arranged to collect the money later. The complainant approached the South African Police Services Anti-Corruption Unit, who then arrested the two officers during the handover last night. This incident is incredibly disappointing, but the city will not tolerate such behavior and will cooperate closely with SAPS in their investigation. The officers will be served with suspension notices when they are released from custody.
The Human Rights Commission has raised concern of ongoing delays in learner placements, particularly in Gauteng. This comes as about 4,000 learners remain unplaced despite the start of the 2026 academic year. The Commission says it will engage the Gauteng Department of Education and may intervene through mediation or legal action if necessary. SAHRC spokesperson Wisani Baloyi has urged the public and civil society groups to share information to help assess the scale of the problem and support efforts to place all learners.
The Commission calls on members of the public and civil society organizations to submit information that will help understand the true extent of the problem and support efforts to ensure that all learners are placed in schools.
KwaZulu-Natal Transport MEC Siboniso Duma says they will continue with the road safety inspections until the end of this month to ensure the safety of school children. 63 scholar transport vehicles have failed recent roadworthiness inspections conducted in the province. The inspections are being conducted by the Road Traffic Inspectorate and members of Operation Chanela. About 77,000 learners in the province use scholar transport. Transport MEC Duma says the inspections will not end with the opening of schools.
Yeah, we proceed with this process of inspecting these taxis and buses till the end of January, because the main aim and the thrust is to ensure that we are still on the road. They are adhering, and every inspection has been done to the last end, and those were taken back